Makes you wanna go. Makes you wanna go. Na 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 na. Makes you wanna go.
Hey, Mikki G, how are you today?
Hey, I'm vibing. How are you, Goldnbronze?
I am good. I just like to groove to that music, you
Me
know?
too. Good stuff.
Yes, what's up? Oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, and I thank you for joining me again. I surely appreciate it, and I appreciate you as well.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, thank you. So, everybody, Gab with Golden Bronze wants to thank you also for stopping by to share 45 minutes to an hour with us today. We realize you could have done anything else, but you decided to stop in to see what we're gabbing about, and we do appreciate it. I want to let you guys know that we are a sponsor of Golden Swan Cadre, which is a domestic nonprofit 501c3 organization that advocates against domestic violence towards women. But we don't stop there. We also advocate for women's health issues. That includes general women's health, maternity health, mental health, self-care, and mindfulness. We do a lot of initiatives throughout the year to focus on those initiatives. But one of the main things that we do is we partner with domestic violence centers. They usually discharge women about 90 days after they've been there safely in their care back out to society. And when they do that, these ladies usually don't have anything but the clothes that they had on their backs when they went. So what we do is we try to support those ladies with their needs list as much as we possibly can financially. We have minimized to adopting one room because we do need money to do that, and we are partially funded. So they could tell us what room they would like, a living room, dining room, kitchen, bedroom, whatever, and we'll try to help them furnish that room and decor that room. One day we hope to be able to furnish the whole apartment, 2 bedroom at least. That is our long-term goal. For right now, we do one room. Then we do other things like groceries, underwear, underwear, food, whatever their needs list is. And we support those domestic violence centers too. Believe it or not, they're much larger than us with deeper pockets, but they'll reach out to us and ask us for hair care products or towels, sheets, underwear, things like that. And we pull our resources and get those things to them as well. And we also are community partners with recreational centers in underprivileged neighborhoods. They will reach out to us to volunteer. They'll reach out to us for Easter baskets, Thanksgiving food, excuse me, Halloween candy, certain things like that. And so we'll reach deep into our pockets and cumulatively provide those needs as well. So we ask that we solicit your help and that you help us do that by donating anything from $1 on up. And we would hope that our cause is more important than $1, but we'll take it because every dollar adds up. Today, we decided to talk about the relationship experience between men and women. The relationship experience between men and women is complex and shaped by a variety of factors, including cultural norms, personal values, communication styles, and emotional needs. While each relationship is unique, there are several common dynamics that often come into play between men and women in romantic relationships and partnerships. So, one of the most important factors is communication styles. There are differences in expression. Communication is very, very important. And a lack of communication can lead to a lot of problems. Men and women often communicate differently. You heard that old saying, and I might have it backwards, but men are from Mars, Venus, and women are from Mars. That is technically true. With women tending to be more verbal and expressive about their emotions, while men may be more reserved or solution oriented. This can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. If one partner feels unheard or misunderstood, it can totally lead to a big misunderstanding. So there's a lot of importance on active listening and not listening to react, but listening to respond appropriately. Successful relationships often hinge on active listening. We don't always have to talk. Sometimes we just need to listen, and we can learn a lot about a person's feelings or just by paying attention, being empathetic to what they are saying, and understanding of each other's perspectives on the matter. When both partners feel heard and respected, it fosters emotional intimacy and trust.
Mm.
That's how I feel about communication styles. If people are technically on two different planes, they're not going to communicate effectively.
Right, right. I agree with that whole thing. That I've also heard this saying, women speak in circles, men speak in a straight line.
Yeah.
And we use a lot more words than they do when we paint a picture, almost a dissertation, if you will, to
Yes.
explain something, and men are just sitting there like,
Sometimes they want us to hurry up and quit
right,
talking.
right. I think their minds get fatigued, right? By us just talking and talking. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? But it also, like you said, effective listening and getting to know the person is an intimate part of communication. Listening with respect, not just to be heard, but not listening to get your word in, but
Right.
listening to understand where they are, and then ask them, is this what you meant?
Yes.
Because I don't really understand. Could you explain that to me again? This is what I think you're saying.
You're right.
Right, this
Exactly.
is what I thought you said. So if they can correct that, and there's no sense in yelling and doing all that,
Right.
just talk.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I agree.
well, I tell you something as far as women is concerned, because a lot of us are more emotional than men. So, in our emotional needs, there's affection and validation that's important. In many relationships, women express a need for emotional closeness, validation, and affection. Men, while also seeking these things, may prioritize feelings of respect, admiration, and being appreciated for the contribution. So, vulnerability is also something men struggle with.
Nikki, can we get back to that in just a moment?
Sure,
Okay. So I'm sorry, co-host, for interrupting you, but we had to pay some bills real quick.
that's right. That's
All
right.
right, you
Okay.
may continue.
So I was speaking about vulnerability, and men sometimes struggle with showing vulnerability, especially if societal norms have taught them to suppress emotions. And women may encourage more emotional openness, but the process requires trust and patience from both sides.
Yes,
I
it
think,
does.
yeah, this comes from Big Boys Don't Cry.
That's right.
And men sometimes say that vulnerability is showing weakness, but it really isn't. I think that vulnerability is a great strength, and it derives from trusting your partner in order to be vulnerable with them and share exactly what your heart is saying. What do you think?
I agree 100% with you. And I've had men say to me it's hard for them to be vulnerable because then some women, not all women, take that as a sign of weakness, and that's unfair for us to feel like it's okay for us females to be vulnerable, but a man cannot be
Right.
vulnerable. He should be able to be transparent and feel comfortable with sharing with his partner his feelings about certain things, about even things between the two of them. So I 100% agree with you on that.
Right. Right.
Well, speaking of men being able to be vulnerable should be fair. Those gender roles and expectations come into play.
Right.
Evolving roles, traditionally gender roles have shifted significantly, but remnants of those expectations still exist. Historically, men were seen as providers and protectors, while women were often caregivers. But today, both men and women share those responsibilities. But navigating these evolving roles can lead to tension in some relationships if expectations aren't clearly communicated. And I think that those expectations should be communicated in the very beginning of the relationship, or at least especially if they decide to cohabitate in the same space or even get married. Those are conversations that should be had beforehand. But the power of those struggles can arise if one partner feels that the other dominates decision making or controls certain aspects of the relationship. Healthy relationships thrive on balance, where both partners feel equal in their contributions and their voice. And you have some men that feel like, I'm the man, I'm the head of the household. What I say goes. I'm the leader, you're the follower. You follow me, I lead, you do what I say. No, that is not how it goes
No,
at all.
no,
You know,
no.
what do
Yeah.
you think about that?
Well, oh, that's so loaded. There's so much in that. I think with the gender roles, like you said, that's a decision as far as a household is concerned and how you interact with each other in those ways. But I also think that the template is already inside of the person,
Yeah.
whether the woman is more submissive, which
Yes.
doesn't mean that she's weak,
Yes.
but she is following. And there's nothing wrong with that if a man knows where he's going. If he can take you someplace, then that's good. So
Yeah.
internally they feel a certain kind of way, and then the power dynamics when there's a domineering man or even a domineering woman. There's
Yes.
a power struggle between them as to who's the boss. Well, there
Yes.
shouldn't be a boss.
Right.
You
There
should
you go.
there shouldn't be a boss per se, but I ascribe to um, headship sometime in those traditional gender roles. But
Mhm.
in this modern day society, you can flex with each other as to how you want to live your life together.
Honey, ain't nothing else to say because you said it all. Read my mind. I agree.
Mike,
But I will add one thing to it.
yes,
I always say when a man says, I'm the head, I'm going to lead, I want to say to them, where are you leading me? I want to make sure I want to follow you there. Because from the get go, if we're going in two different directions, we're just going to be friends, you know?
yeah,
So, yeah, you're the head of the household. The man leads, but the woman needs to make sure up front that she wants to go in the direction he's headed. Yes,
that's
ma'am.
that's that is true. I was thinking about something when you said that. I asked someone that I used to be married to. I asked them, I said, so, sweetheart, what is your vision for our home and for our marriage? He said, vision? You know, we'll get up every day and we'll just do what we do. And I thought,
Uh-oh.
I'm in trouble. But if I trust you, if I trust your vision and I can see where you're going and you keep me in the loop and say, I think this is the way we should go. And then I agree and say, yeah, I agree with that. And I can go with it. You can lead, and I'll be the neck that turns the head every
Right.
single day.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. So, ladies, find out where they're leading you before you decide to follow.
Yes, yes, because
My
you've heard
co-host
about.
says she woke up and went, I'm in trouble.
I did. I
I
thought,
forgot to ask that question.
yeah, because I was going to a church and they were talking about leadership and headship, and I came home and I was wondering. So, okay, this is a question I never asked, and we were years into our marriage, and I thought, oh Lord, based on what I heard today, I don't know if we're gonna make it because
I know.
because dude didn't have a clue. He just, he was
We get up
retired.
every morning and do what we do.
Yeah,
It's like,
he-
what?
yeah, he was retired, so he had that mindset. Well, whatever we decide to do, that's what we're gonna do. And I thought, okay, but what's the culture of our
Right.
relationship? What's the culture of our home? What do you see it as?
What's the
Well,
foundation of it?
what's
Where do
the
we start?
foundation?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh Lord, help me.
Well, have you ever, like, this has happened to me where I've been trying to see where a person's head is at in the beginning of a relationship, and the more they talk, it may be 3 weeks or a month down the road, and I'm like, I don't want to go that direction.
Yeah.
I'm going over here. You going over there. We're already a fork in the road. So now how do have you ever encountered that? I mean, it's like, I'm just like, well, I think that we should just be friends. We don't seem to have too many commonalities. Because where you headed, I don't want to go that way. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a good direction, people. That's what I'm
Right.
talking
Right.
about.
Right. Should we share it when we come back?
Yes.
Let's pay some bills.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming back. So, Mikki G, you were talking.
Yes, I knew that I was in trouble, but we made it. Once I understood he had no plan, I just winged it right with him. What are you
That's
gonna do?
too funny. That's funny.
Yeah, we just said, well, okay, what are we doing today? Guess the next day, what are we
Okay.
doing today? I think we're gonna go to the lake. Okay. We're gonna go get some barbecue. Okay.
That's too funny. But it's
Yeah,
real. At
yeah,
least we're real, everybody.
that's real. That's real. That's how we roll.
Mhm.
But another thing is conflict resolution. That is a
Ooh,
big thing.
it is.
So men and women may approach conflict differently. Men may prefer to avoid confrontation and solve problems directly, while women may want to talk through emotions and feelings. If not handled constructively, these differing approaches can lead to unresolved issues or resentment. That is so true. I can certainly relate to that because I'm talky,
Yeah.
talky, talky. He's not as talky, talky as I am.
Listen,
No.
me too, Mikki, because I remember when with my husband, ex, used to say to him, God rest his soul, he's gone on
Right.
now. But I would go and say, I want to talk about something. And, sit down and start talking about whatever it is I had on my heart or in my mind that maybe I felt was unjust towards me. And that man would look up at me and say, it don't matter. It don't matter how you feel. Do
Oh,
you know
wow.
how that cut through the heart?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can
It
imagine.
doesn't matter how you feel.
Mm. Just negate you altogether.
All
Almost your
together.
existence. Yeah, your very existence and your importance in the relationship and how you feel. That cuts like a knife.
It
That
cut like a knife, and he said it all the time. Like it doesn't matter what you think or how you feel. Of
right.
course, that marriage ended, but
Mhm. Right.
yeah,
Right.
that I went through that for
Yeah.
a lot of years.
Yeah, well, we filter a lot of things through emotion, and
Mhm.
men filter a lot of things through logic, and so even with my significant other, he says, I know you're more emotional than me. And so I understand and I accept that because,
At least he
you
was
know,
empathetic.
he
Uh,
was.
that
He
what
was.
what I encountered was no empathy at all,
Yeah,
no
just the complete
emotional
opposite.
intelligence. Right?
Right, right. Just the complete opposite. And
Yeah.
and I think there's respect in the fact that someone will acknowledge. And when he says you're more emotional, it wasn't a dig, it wasn't a
No,
put
he
down.
just
He
understood
just
that.
said he knows me, and he said, I
Yes.
know you're more emotional than I am, and so
Right.
I understand that. And I told him I know that you're very logical, and so
Yeah.
you're not going to take an emotional path to make a decision, whereas I might do that more. But
Yes.
then there's also compromise and understanding. So
Yes.
relationships flourish when both parties are willing to compromise and understand each other's points of view. Effective resolution often involves staying calm, avoiding blame, and focusing on solutions rather than problems. Oh my goodness, do I
Yes, and
relate?
that's
Listen. So my late ex-husband, may he rest in peace, we would have conflicts. I would tell him about something that was bothering me that he might have done or said. And he would say, well, you did this and you did that. So we're not resolving anything. We're passing the blame back and forth between us. That
Mhm.
doesn't resolve anything. So there's a compromise that should happen when you're having these conversations. Little give and take is
Yes.
healthy. What do you think?
I agree with you. I didn't get the compromise because the person didn't have the understanding that my feelings mattered. They
Right.
were like, it doesn't matter how you feel, what you think. So they're definitely, may his soul rest in peace as well. No
Mhm.
compromising. no
Wow.
understanding,
Wow.
just cold.
Mm,
That's all I
yeah.
can say to that.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
agree with everything that you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
everything. And when you have compromise and understanding, it builds intimacy and affection.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
that emotional versus physical intimacy. When
Mhm.
someone emotionally clicks with you, it makes that physical intimacy more uh,
Yeah.
accentuated. While
Yeah.
both emotional and physical intimacy are important for men and women, there can be different expectations in relationships. Women often prioritize emotional closeness as a gateway to physical intimacy, as I just kind of said a
Yeah.
few minutes ago, while men may see physical intimacy as a way to express their emotional. Like we were saying, men are from Mars, women from Venus, women
Mhm.
are emotional, men are logical. Women may show the emotional intimacy leads to physical for them, whereas for the man, the physical leads to him being more emotionally expressive to her.
Right.
And that builds on their emotional connection, maintaining that passion over time. Maintaining both emotional and physical connection requires effort in a relationship. It in the beginning is effortless, but I know you've heard marriage takes work, it takes compromise, it takes empathy, understanding, and it takes being a team working together. Couples need to invest in their relationships by spending quality time with each other, being affectionate, like playful in the kitchen or
Mhm.
in the garage, or if he's working on the car or whatever, and keeping that romantic spark alive continuously at all times. It doesn't just have to be at night when you go to bed or whatever. It could be throughout the day. You know, a little peck on the kiss as you walk by.
Mm.
Peck on the lips is what I meant to say. You know, walk by, or the cheek, the forehead, whatever.
Yeah.
Wrapping your arms around their neck or hugging them around the waist, or just little tidbits of intimacy throughout
Yeah.
the day can build that affection emotionally. What do you
Mhm.
think? Do you think I'm on point with that thought? As you can tell,
On point.
I'm a real affectionate, emotional person. I really, really am.
Yeah. 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 I am too. I want to really elaborate on it, but I don't know that we have the time. But I agree with you on that. That sometimes men think lovemaking starts when they're in bed with you,
Yep.
but it really starts from the moment you wake up and how you interact with her.
Yes.
If you're at work and you text her during the day and say I'm thinking of
Yes.
you, or you're cooking together, but there's so much more to be said about it.
Come home with a small bouquet of just fresh flowers that even if you
Yeah,
picked them out of the front yard, here,
yeah,
honey, I was thinking about you and brought these
yeah,
in.
yeah,
Little
yeah,
bitty
yeah,
things like that.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
So we're back. And as you were saying, Mickey,
So what I was saying is, in physical intimacy or sexual intimacy, it starts all day long. Just like you said, the hugs, the kiss on the cheek, the kiss on the forehead, the cooking together, or
yes,
holding hands. I know when my significant other and I are in the car, we hold hands
yeah,
while he's driving, or opening the door for you, just being kind.
little
You know,
bitty
be,
small
yeah,
things matter.
yeah, it's the small things
Things,
that
yes,
lead to great rewards, if
yes,
you know what
ma'am.
I mean. But then there's all kinds of levels of intimacy, and it doesn't have to be sexual. It's like I said, holding hands, wrapping your arms around them, giving them a big hug, and say, I appreciate you. This is what I appreciate you about you. I love the way you cook. I love the way you stroke my hair. I love the
Yes,
way you talk to me. I love the way you just let me lay my head on your shoulder. I love the way you take me on shopping trips. All whatever it is, rubbing my
I
feet.
love the way you smell today.
Yeah.
What is that cologne that you're wearing?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It builds, lady, it builds that intimacy.
That's right. That's right. Girly girls really like that kind of thing. I think we
Yeah.
are. We're very
Yes,
girly girl and very
yes,
affectionate, very
yes,
loving. And so
yes,
that goes a long way with us.
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Sure
Yes. Yes.
does.
Yes. Well, there's another part I can relate to. Um, Independence and togetherness.
Yes.
And I can really relate to this. I'll explain why in a minute. So, balancing individuality with togetherness. A healthy relationship allows both partners to maintain their individuality while nurturing their bond. Men and women may have different needs for space and independence, which, if respected, can strengthen their relationship rather than weaken it. So, I relate to this in a sense that my late ex-husband was retired. He was retired when we got together. And
Mm-hmm.
so he retired me several years ago. And I cared for him, I cared for our home, etc. But we were at home, we were together all the time. Sometimes I needed my space. So I would go someplace with my sister. We would go listen to music or we would go do different things. He didn't do too much away. He didn't have friends he would hang out with. But having that time by myself, it helped me when I came back to him. I could miss him. So when I came
Yes.
back home, I would miss him and he could miss me. Or I might go out of town and see my parents and then come back, go out of town and see our children and come back. But just being there together all the time, I mean, it's nice, but sometimes it gets old and you need a break. And so I think when you feed yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you take care of your own individual needs in regard to that, you can come back and be stronger with your partner.
Yes. Well, I have always been the type of person that wanted my own space as well. So I would just go like shopping or brunch or something, but I needed that time to myself sometimes.
Right.
And when I was married, we were not retired. We were not in the same space with each other all day long. But I still am not the kind of person that just really wants to be up under a man all the time. And I'm not saying you are because you both were at home. But there are some people that just want you there all the time. You know, the man may want the woman there all the time and vice versa. And I think do we need to take a break or do I have a few more
No,
minutes?
we have a couple
Okay.
more minutes.
All
Yeah.
right. And so I've always been that kind of person that would have to tell someone, I'm not the kind of person that's going to be up under you all the time because I just like to be in a room by myself reading a book or listening to some music, or I like to go window shopping, even if I'm not buying anything. I just need my me time. If it's to go to the beauty shop or get a massage or my hair done, and it's just I need a break every now and then from everything. And I always have a point to make that known up front because you're exactly right. People you need your time with your partner, but I think it's healthy for some people if you have that time. And you even said sometimes you would have that of your own too, where you just needed a little break. And then when you come back together, you're glad to see your spouse. You said I missed them.
Yeah.
And that's how it was for me. I'd come back in happy, like, look, I bought you this. I
Yeah.
thought about you while I was out. I decided to pick up dinner for us, and stuff like that. So I
Right.
think it's
Right.
healthy.
Yeah. Well, I thought about something kind of comical with regard to that with us. If we're at home all day together, I'll say, "Hey, what did you do today?" You know what I did. You were there. But what did you do today? I was upstairs. What did you
That's
do?
funny.
We had nothing. We couldn't talk about what happened in each other's day so much if we're sitting there together, sitting on
Yeah.
the deck, watching TV or whatever we were doing. And so I will also say that when you support each other's growth, relationships thrive when both partners support each other's personal growth and ambitions. This can mean encouraging career pursuits, hobbies, or other interests outside the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I
very.
agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He used to like to go fishing and hunting, and I'm not an outside person. So while he was fishing and hunting, I supported that. My thing was selling houses and doing real estate, and he supported that. And I had a full-time nursing job, but that was the real estate stuff was something that I like to do also, and he was supportive of that. Yeah.
Right. Well, mine was as well. He liked to go fishing on our boat, but he liked me to go with him, I guess for safety purposes, but we enjoyed that. But then I went into individual ministry, or I would go to classes and learn certain things. And he supported me in doing those kind of things. He didn't fight against me having women in our home every week and talking with them. And, so those pursuits that I had was supported. And I supported, hey, if you want to go do something, go fishing by yourself, or go get your lottery tickets by yourself. Oftentimes he'd say, hey, go with me to get the lottery tickets. I said, how many people does it take to do that? Just going to what? But he wanted me with him. He wanted me to ride with him. He wanted that time with me. But, supporting what he wanted to do your thing and let me do mine. And then when I come back, I'm healthier. I'm more
Yes.
whole when I get to
Yes.
pour into myself,
Yep.
and I can come back as a more whole partner for you than
I
just drowning
absolutely
in your dreams or your lottery tickets.
oh, I agree. I agree. That short separation in between makes for a
Yes,
healthy relationship.
yes, yes,
All right.
yes.
Well, we'll get into it when we come right back.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So, um, I want to also say when you're in a relationship, you have to maintain passion with your partner. Over time, maintaining both the emotional and the physical connection requires effort on all parties. Couples need to invest in their relationships by spending quality time together, being affectionate, and keeping that spark alive. Whatever it is that your partner likes to do, keep that going so that they'll see that you're interested in the things that they like to do, not just in the things that you like to do. And kiss them, like we said, on the cheek or the forehead or whatever. Just keep the passion going. You know your partner better than anybody. Whatever that is that you know that they like, keep that going throughout the whole entirety of the relationship. What do you think about that, Mikki?
I agree with that. Also, I think keeping yourself up is something that keeps the passion going. Take a shower, fix your hair, get a haircut.
Yes,
If you're the man, put on some nice clothes. Don't wear raggedy clothes all the time. Fix yourself up. And, being a girly girl, I like pretty lingerie. Get some pretty
yes,
lingerie. Or
yes,
even the husband, put on some nice pajamas or something, some
yes.
pajama pants and, let their chest hang out or whatever. But put forth some effort. And if you put forth effort for your partner, they're going to appreciate it and show you how much they appreciate it. But it's, putting on perfume every day, even if I'm by myself, I put on
Yes,
perfume after I get out of the shower because I like it for me. But he probably likes it too. So
exactly.
if you invest in that, you can't really go wrong.
That's true. And Mikki, we kind of touched on this on another podcast that we used to have a long time
Mhm.
ago. But how we look today, how I look now, I get up every day,
Mhm.
every single day, and fix myself together,
Yeah.
even if I'm in the house, because you never know if you have to rush out to go somewhere or do something. And it just makes me feel good to get up every day and fix my hair and put on some clothes and not slug around in the house in pajamas. Even if I'm working, I get
Mhm.
dressed like I'm actually going out to the office. So I agree with you about
Yeah.
fixing yourself up. Oftentimes you hear men say, she let herself go. Or you
Mhm.
hear women say, he let himself go. I was no longer attracted to that person. That's not the person I fell in love with. So keep it going, ladies. And when you
Yeah.
do that, you'll build trust and commitment. Building trust is foundational in any relationship. Betrayal, dishonesty, or infidelity can severely damage the bond that you all have. And I can tell you that for a fact. For me, one time is a killer. It'll do it. That infidelity, I'm not one of those women that I'm going to just keep accepting that. You can do it. It's okay. I love you. You can do it. Okay. Yeah, I forgive you. No, you lose trust in the person. If they tell you it just happened, it didn't just happen. Something led up to that. And so you need the honesty from them. What is it that made you go do that? you can't blame yourself for it, but it just doesn't happen. And I cannot accept that it just happened answer. To me, that's betrayal. It's betrayal if your partner can't be trusted. And you have to build that on the foundation of the relationship because it can severely damage the bond that you do have. And that's my no, that's my deal breaker right there. Infidelity. I'm out at that point. And that's just me personally. I don't want to offend anybody out there because I know there's people that, you know, rationalize it or forgive it. I can forgive. Doesn't mean that I'm going to keep letting that person do that to me over and over. If I forgive you the first time and you do it the second time, there's not going to be a third time. What Maya Angelou said, when they show you who they are the first time, believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you-
Well,
what do
I
you- my no nonsense approach to it.
well, whatever works for you works for you.
Right.
I do know couples who have dealt with infidelity and survived it. They got counseling. They figured out, how where they got off track and probably fixed it. And it may have happened more than once, but they persevered and went through. That might not be something that you would do, but some people do. Now, there's another part to betrayal. It's not just affairs or anything like that. It could be lying to you about, let's say, the paycheck, or let's say they have a drug addiction,
Oh
and they
yeah.
tell you,
That's
my
major.
check got stolen. I fell short on my check. I don't know what happened to the
Or
money,
gambling money
or
away.
gambling. That kind of dishonesty is betrayal. That you're trusting them to be consistent with you. You're trusting them to do what they say they're going to do. And when they don't do what they say they're going to do, that is a betrayal of your trust. That is dishonesty. And my mother used to say, if you will lie, you'll steal. And if you'll
Yeah.
steal, you'll lie. And so at some point in one of my relationships, I dealt with that. There was an addiction, and then things came up missing, and checks came up missing. And I
Wow.
was counting on that, because I had a job and they had a job, but then their check didn't come home. I think they shorted my check. Something
Wow.
happened. But I didn't know at that point that there was a drug addiction happening there. I thought maybe they were slipping out on me, but they had an addiction, which they later explained to me. But imagine how betrayed I felt during something like that. So betrayal can be more things than, extramarital affairs. They can be,
Right.
anything that you're dishonest about and purposely dishonest about and hurtful to a partner who trusts you.
Right.
If you're
So,
on the outs, that's different. But if you're on the ends and you're supposed to be together.
mhm. So the way that I'm gonna surmise this is the trust and commitment. If you actually communicate, learn how to be empathetic, listen to your partner, show emotional support, understand each other's gender roles, learn to have appropriate conflict resolution, uh, learn to be compromising and understanding, show your emotional intimacy and affection, learn to balance individuality and togetherness. You should have a foundation for good trust and commitment. So the very betrayal there, if you follow the roadmap, you won't encounter, not every relationship does have betrayal. Not every relationship has trust issues and dishonesty and infidelity. And most of those relationships follow this roadmap to a happy marriage and partnership. And that is my opinion. I'm going to stick to it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes, yes, that's my story. But it's really my opinion. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
stick to it. And do you have anything you would like to add to that before you
Um,
close us out for the
I
day?
just think this was a rich conversation that
Yes,
I'm glad we had, because other people might be having these same thoughts and these same conversations and might want another perspective other than their own. Sometimes when you listen to your own press, that's the only voice that you hear, and you don't have another opinion or another idea. And so if we've given people ideas as to how to keep the spark alive in their relationship, how to build trust and intimacy between them, then I think it's a good thing. I can always learn, until I leave this world. I'm constantly learning. I'm a student of life. And
Yes.
so if anyone can teach me that knows what they're talking about, I'm willing to listen and learn.
Yes, me
So I'm
too.
glad that we had this conversation because I think it was very, very important.
I enjoyed it so much. I really
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
Yeah. And we as usual share some of the same opinions.
we do. We do.
Yeah.
We do.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yes, yes.
So take us on out.
All right. Well, we're so glad that you joined us. As we said, we had a great time sharing with you from Gab with Golden Bronze. And you may now see Gab with Golden Bronze on DuPont TV Network, brought to you by Village Global Network TV, Monday through Friday, 5 days per week at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and 11 a.m. Mountain Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Be sure to tune in and we'll happily see you there joining us. Now, we have a little housekeeping to do. So, Gap with Golden Bronze is a sponsor of Golden Swan Cadre. So, we want to tell you how you can contribute to a worthy cause. So on Chime, you will enter $ Golden Swan Cadre. The G, the S, and the C are uppercase, and that will help you find us. In PayPal, enter the Golden Swan Cadre at gmail.com. Also, our website, www.goldenswancadre.com. On social media, you may find us on Instagram. So you visit the charity section and find the official _ Golden Swan Cadre. Finally, Facebook. Also find the charity section and find Golden Swan Cadre. Join us in making a positive impact today for women in need, and we thank you in advance.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We thank you very much. And we would like to ask you to come back and see what we're getting about tomorrow. I'm sure it will be something very interesting. So we do appreciate your being here with us today. And we request that you come back and see us tomorrow. All right. Thank you for coming.